This is There and Back Again by Effie Spence. And if you don't get the Lord of the Rings reference, that's okay. You don't have to for the purpose of this episode. Today I want to talk about how and where Motherlands, the story idea, came from. It all started back when I was a wee woman of 29. And the borders just opened up. It was mid-pandemic. And my grandfather was 99 years old at the time. So it was a very dire now or never. That became such a crash course lesson in filmmaking. Why do I say this? Well, with documentary, it's really wild. You don't have actors, you don't have a script, you don't have necessarily even a shot list to go off of. And since I come from an acting background, all of this was pretty new to me. So I went over there with just my iPhone and a lavalier mic. So I packed my bags, I packed up my house, and my husband and I moved to Greece to do the documentary. I thought it was going to be a retrospective on his life. Being 99 years old, he's definitely got a story to tell. And what I found was a very different story, where this was more about a man who wanted to not reminisce on his life, but meditate on the next chapter of his afterlife. So I spent a lot of time talking with him about death and about trying to find humor even in those last moments. I'll never forget two things that he said when I was trying to take myself very seriously as a newfound director and documentarian, and I said, Papu, which means grandfather. I said, Papu, you're 99 years old. How does it feel to live that long? And he said, it feels like 10 minutes. So that was depressing. The other question that I asked him that I really loved because of the sentimentality of it on my end and the blatant humor on his end was I asked him, Papu, what's your secret? And he took a pause and as he listened to his granddaughter's question with a camera in his face, and he just shrugged his shoulders and goes, what? Am I a doctor? How should I know? And that's exactly the kind of joie de vivre that I think the Greek community has and what I grew up with. You see, I grew up between two worlds. I'm a first-generation Greek American, and I got to live the American dream. I saw my parents work hard and get the house on the hill. I saw them be able to pay for their children to all go to college when they didn't have the opportunity. And I've seen how that American dream has gotten harder and harder for people like myself in this generation and below me to achieve that same prowess. From just blood, sweat, and tears, you can have anything you want. And while I believe in that and agree with that, I also couldn't help but feel the stark difference between the fact that I was interviewing my 99-year-old grandfather while my own father had passed away at 54. So the question of the cost of the American dream came up for me, and that was one of the seeds to Motherlands. The other seed to Motherlands was remembering when I was a kid, my grandmother put chamomile on my eyes to help me heal from conjunctivitis, and it working better than the antibiotics that I was taking. It also came from seeing her pluck chickens and go get eggs and milk goats when I was a little girl, and be able to sort potatoes with my grandfather and pick blackberries off the vine. And that style of abundance was very different to the American abundance that I was growing up into. The joy of me having the independence as a child to go into the garden and pick everything we needed to make a beautiful Greek salad. That was a seed that has always stayed within me. It wasn't until recently that the idea of Motherlands became a matriarchal-centric show. My sister suggested to just focus on women, as I wanted at first Motherlands to be a piece about wisdom in general, and culture and tradition. And the more I sat with that suggestion, the more I realized that that is exactly what Motherlands needs to be. It needs to be a remembrance of the women that came before us, and of my grandmother and mother's wisdom and their mothers before them. Because so often in a modern society, we leave very little space for women to flourish. Even though we are CEOs, we go to school more, we do better in general, it still feels like we are competing for the same respect that is automatically given to our male peers. And this isn't to complain or to feel like I am vilifying the masculine. I don't mean that at all. I just mean that Motherlands is supposed to give us a different opportunity into how we can operate in a more healthy society, because the truth is, women's wisdom has been lost. Since my last trip to Greece, I've had this yearning to get back. It's like I left something there, some untilled part of the soil in the ground of my grandfather's home that I didn't get answered. His wife, my grandmother, who taught me how to milk the goats and would tell me to go get eggs from the chicken coop, who was really divinely connected to the earth, was diagnosed with Alzheimer's when I was a little girl. It affected me deeply, and in one of my college classes, I wrote a poem about it, because she was kind of the perfect grandma. She would fill our bathtubs up all the way and wouldn't care if we spilled the water out. She would always make us warm milk to go to bed. She was the kindest, most loving, and least tactful woman I know. She never held back her word. She embarrassed everyone with being as bold as she was. She did not hold her tongue, and yet I've always admired that. I want to dedicate Motherlands to her legacy, because though she forgot herself along the way, I will never forget. If you want to support our journey with Motherlands, please click the link in our bio and donate, like, or follow, or share our journey with anyone that you know who might be interested. Our Seed and Spark campaign is still going on, and we're still raising money, so if you can spare anything, please do so. It means a lot. Thank you.